again, I'm one of those people, I always forget to plug my social media. I posted this clip earlier on Twitter, so if you want to follow me, go ahead. This was the Chinese ambassador to the United States in the studio with CBS, and he was being asked about Ukraine. And let's take a look at this clip, and then we'll comment, shall we?
Why can't you condemn this as an invasion?
Mm-hmm. Well, don't be naive. Condemnation.
It sounds naive to say that's not an invasion.
It doesn't solve the problem. I would be surprised if Russia will back down by condemnation. What is urgently
will they back down if your president asks Vladimir Putin to back down? Will your president ask Vladimir Putin to back down?
We have done so.
They rely on you.
And we will continue to promote peace talks and, urge immediate fire. And, condemnation, only doesn't help. We need wisdom. We need wisdom, we need courage, and we need good diplomacy.
Well, Vladimir Zelensky says he would like to meet with Vladimir Putin. Mm-hmm. Vladimir Zelensky's in a bunker. Mm-hmm. Vladimir Putin is at a political pro-war rally right now. Mm-hmm. You can't have diplomacy when it is one country, the only one country willing to actually negotiate. Mm-hmm.
China has good relations with Russia, has good relations with Ukraine, and China keeps close communications with the United States and with Europe. Mm-hmm. They enable China to reach to all parties' concerns in the crisis. So China's unique role, can help the peaceful settlement of the crisis.
My goodness. Look, man, I've interviewed a couple ambassadors. I can tell you I don't speak to them like that. And, it's incredible how rude Western journalists are when they speak to foreign dignitaries. Have you noticed that? If you go look at Megyn Kelly when she interviews Vladimir Putin, again, she brings the same kind of attitude, right? Like all up in your face. Hey, calm down. You're speaking to a foreign dignitary. With that said, it would be half a problem if they actually spoke to their own politicians that way. If these journalists actually spoke to Blinken and Biden that way, you could say they're just being journalists. They're trying to hold them both accountable. They're fair. They're consistent, right? They do it with their own government. They do it with other government. Fine, okay, I'll give it to you. Okay, but they don't do that. They never do. You will never see that. You'll have these guys from mainstream outlets in the U.S. Like they'll go and interview Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian president, and they'll sit across him, like it's in the studio, like in the presidential palace, in this guy's house, and they're like, but aren't you a war criminal? Didn't you just massacre some puppies? Like you burned them alive? Like they would never say that to George Bush, a former president, never mind a current president. They would never say that. You think they would sit across George Bush and say, like, didn't you murder 1 million Iraqis? And the same thing in the UK. You think someone at the BBC is going to grill Boris Johnson like that? I mean, come on, man. You're dreaming. You're off your rocker. You've gone mad. They never, ever speak like that to other people. I got another example. Professor Merendi, right? He's a diplomat. I mean, he's also a professor at the University of Tehran, but he's also an advisor to the Iranian delegation at the nuclear talks. And he goes on Hard Talk, on BBC Hard Talk. And the guy, he talks to him like crap. And then, of course, when Naftali Bennett comes on, he's like, oh, it's the Israeli prime minister. Thank you for your time. Oh, come on, man. Come on. I'm telling you, I'm not making this up. This is an observation that I've had before I ever did this. Before I ever had this job, I always noticed that they speak to foreign leaders, foreign dignitaries, presidents, ambassadors, whatever. They speak to them like crap, and they never, ever, ever dare take that tone with their own leaders. Never. And what does that tell you? That tells you that they're implicitly biased, although for me it's quite explicit and overt. They're certainly biased, and I don't even understand. Why do you bother bringing on the Chinese ambassador if you're not even going to let him reply? Why don't you let him finish his sentence? What's the point? Look how many times she interrupted him. I think someone in the comments counted it. It was like something absurd, like 24 times in 9 minutes. Let him speak. Why don't you let the guy speak? You invited him on for You invited him on to ask him these questions. Let him speak. I don't see them ever speaking like that with their own politicians. And again, this one was really funny to me. Like, look at this. Right? She says, like, why didn't you just tell your president to tell Putin?
Will they back down if your president asks Vladimir Putin to back down? Will your president ask Vladimir Putin to back down?
We have done.
What does that even mean? Hey Vlad, buddy, can you please like cut this stuff out with the war? You know, they're grilling us on CBS. Please, man. Okay, G, I'll do it. What do you think that conversation goes like? Again, this is so stupid because they assume that Vladimir Putin is doing what he's doing, whether you agree with it or not. Look, man, are we going to sit here and treat each other like clowns? Or are we going to speak on politics and speak on politics? With this, the war in Ukraine is a geopolitical situation. Let's talk about geopolitics. I'm not interested in your pseudo psychoanalysis of Putin or what you think about his personality, or you say he wasn't loved by his mother as a child. Get away with that shit. Miss me with that bullshit. Let's talk geopolitics. Russia has an issue with Ukraine because of NATO expansion. It's not because he has, an emotional issue. He's in a bad mood that he went into Ukraine. So whether the Chinese president calls him up and asks him to kindly stop is not going to change the fact that NATO wants to incorporate Ukraine and already treats it, even though it's not a member, treats it like it's basically an ally. You have more. Honestly, think about this. You have so many NATO weapons in Ukraine now. I can guarantee you there are other NATO countries who don't have that many weapons from NATO. Okay? So even though Ukraine's not officially a member, it's being treated as a NATO partner. And NATO in 2008, they openly said they want Georgia and Ukraine to enter. So just going back to my point is that they make it sound like it's so trivial. Like Putin's decision making is emotional and it's based on like personal relationships. It's not. That's not how politics works. Stop being a clown. In any case, let's leave it there. I just want to show you another example of how they speak. And remember that the next time you see them talking to Blinken, you won't see that attitude, I guarantee you.